Rated Gen Z, where real talks get real. Each episode dives deep into the minds of 18 to 24-year-olds, exploring their dreams, struggles, and perspectives that most people never hear. We're diving into the chaos that defines a generation everyone talks about, but nobody actually listens to. This isn't just a podcast. This is a generation speaking. Hello, and welcome to the Rated Gen Z podcast. My guest today is Serianna, and I will have to put in a disclaimer here. She is just 25 years old, and I just told her this, since this is my podcast, I can really do whatever I want. So you are going to be the exception to the rule. There always has to be an exception, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you get to be it. So there's that. It's your lucky day. So, Serianna, welcome. I don't know much about you. This is what's so cool, is that we have mutual connections. You are are interning. I think your internship is almost up for a Digital for Good, right?
Yes, Raquel,
Okay.
I've been really enjoying it so far. Especially with me being a lead content engagement and marketing intern.
Okay. Yeah, which is everything that I love, because that's essentially was my career for the last several years, was just doing marketing and social media.
I agree,
Yeah.
and that's what my degrees are in. I mean, it's a long story short, but I was going to school for athletic training, but then because of and by the way, I have autism, and because of that, I didn't meet the transcript, what was it called? It's called like these like criteria that they call it,
Okay. Yeah.
like criteria for like athletic training, in
Uh-huh.
order to like pass to get into the program. And
Okay.
so I was told that I didn't make it to the program, and so that's why I was told to change my major. And so I looked at the advisor and I was like, I think I should change it to communication studies, mass media, because that's where I wanted to do. And I was like, okay. And then I thought at first I didn't know what to expect. But
Yeah.
then as I was like doing classes over the years at Upper Iowa, then I got used to it. And then for one of my classes for news editing, I got the highest grade in the class.
Wow. Uh, okay. So yeah, I mean, I will have to admit, Seriana, like I had no idea that you were on the spectrum until maybe an hour ago when I went to your LinkedIn, and we've been connected on Instagram for a while, and I see all your videos. And I went over to your LinkedIn because I thought, okay, let me at least get a little bit more background. And I happened to see a video of yours, I think from a month ago, where you were really transparent and vulnerable about some of your story. And that's when I found out.
Of course.
So I kind of love that we don't need to necessarily lead with those things, where I feel like for the longest time, people felt like they needed to lead with that. How do you feel about that? Like, do you think there has been a change when it comes
I
to
feel like
labeling people?
I feel like I know like maybe like said like labels are like often misplaced.
Yeah.
But long story is I was actually diagnosed with autism at the age of 2, in which I was not fully aware of it until much later in life, like somewhere within my middle school years. And then
Wow.
because of that, I was in like special education classes until my sophomore year of high school. And I had doubts from my high school teachers that I wouldn't be able to handle academics nor athletics in a college setting at a 4-year university. And so all that changed. And when I took the ACT in my junior year of high school, I think it was like a week after my birthday, I think,
Hmm.
the one time. And I only got an 18 on the ACT, but I still was able to go to. I was looking at colleges that would accept me as a walk on for athletics. And by the way, I was an athlete on the cross country and track team as a walk on. And then my mom said we would figure something out. And so that's where we went to the like before the ACT, we went to college visit. That was in the community college from like near our hometown.
Hmm.
And so, and so I looked at it, I wanted to go to University of Northern Iowa for athletic training, but then the program for track and field and cross country was a D1 school instead of a D2 school.
Oh.
And I was like, but then that's where Upper Iowa stood out, because I know a couple of my high school teachers who went to Upper Iowa for like athletics and education. And so, and decided to apply it, even though, I mean, even though I only have an 18 on the ACT, I was still able to go to Upper Iowa with the good grades and everything like that.
Hmm.
And so, like, and I signed my letter of intent as a walk-on, and of course, and of course, I mean, I signed up to be a walk-on for like the Peacock Athletic. Of course, that's the mascot of Upper Iowa.
Oh,
And
okay.
and so for Upper Iowa, so that's where I signed my national letter of intent, for to compete in cross country and track, as a walk on. And then, but then freshman year, I was like required to redshirt because I did not meet the high school transfer criteria. So that's why I was required to redshirt. And of course, I didn't have enough credits. And
Right.
so that's where I had those like ups and downs, even, and sometimes they're good days, and sometimes I found out like I feel down,
Yeah.
and then and then of course redshirt season. I mean, even though I was bummed I wasn't able to compete my freshman year, I was still I chose to work hard and of course be patient and still go to practices, and then of course I still go to my classes and all things like that, and of course be patient like my one of my teammates have taught me.
Yeah.
And and so like my sophomore year, and finally I got the grades my sophomore year. I finally got the grades from freshman year, to become eligible my sophomore year. And then by the way, sophomore year, that was my first season of competition for cross country. And because I never did cross country in high school nor middle school. And then even though being autistic, I still led the team I still led the team 7 times through my cross country season for sophomore year.
Wow.
And so and my success later carried on to where I'm the 3-time record holder for the 10K race.
Oh my. Very,
And that's
very talented.
and over the years, from my high school, I proved my high school teachers wrong, and then I'm still connected with my teacher from Re 180, which is one of the classes in my special education program. And then of course, but like I said, I was in special ed from my elementary schools all the way to my sophomore year of high school, because and of course elementary school, in middle school, I used to not think that academics were really important until seventh grade, where I became ineligible for a week for track because I didn't do an assignment that what is it do I didn't do what I success expected of my physical education teacher, and I didn't turn like an assignment, so that's what got me ineligible, and made me realize that academics were really important in order to earn my ticket to my field of dreams. And
Mm.
so and my field of dreams is athletics, which is track and field and cross country. And of course, even though being on, and then of course I was very shy and spoke very little on the autism spectrum, and because I spoke very little, and of course I dreaded crowds and the thought of going to school. But now, and then today, I found my love for school and finally educated, especially with making new friends, and of course those were the friends that who have those of course were the good kids from solid families, and that I started to hang out with, and it inspired me as a person and a content creator as well as an athlete, to become just like them. So I like be like they're like really my role models, for my success in a way. And so and the theme I found, after everything I've been through, being autistic, being on the autism spectrum, like special education classes, and that's why I found the motto, finding cross-country confidence in all aspects of life. And the
Yeah, I
reason
love
why I
that.
made that, and of course I created a portfolio website I got with my logo, because after everything I've been through, and of course, overcoming it with going to Upper Iowa University straight out of high school, and graduating in 2021 with a bachelor's degree in communication studies, mass media. And a year later, 2022, I graduated from Drake University with a master's of arts degree in brand communication. And I that's why that helped me to overcome my doubts from people, and I that's why and then the rest is history.
Wow, that's really impressive. I have to ask you though, because we hear this, and it's not just from your generation, but mine, just everyone in general. So many people grew up in an environment where people doubted them, right? Like, and you had mentioned that there were teachers that told you you weren't going to be able to do something. I feel like because of that, we tend to have a chip on our shoulder and want to prove them wrong, and it kind of drives us. So was that like a big driving factor for you?
That's exactly what happened to me, like
Yeah.
especially in grade, and as I was coming home from my school, and of course, and I was at first I was afraid to join a club or athletics because I didn't know how people would treat me if I joined,
Hmm.
but all because of me being autistic. And so that's when one question came, and a chip on my shoulder, like just like was kept telling me that again, and of course my mom as well, and who she's also authored a book I got about like the autism spectrum and how to like educate yourself through the autism
Yeah.
spectrum. And so and my mom like one time like in sixth grade and she came up to tell me and says and told me that I need to join a club or track and field because or of course in athletics because she told me that I was no longer going to be allowed to come home and not do anything. And so that's why she asked me one important question, which was, do you want to go out for track this spring? And then that got me really interested and of course in like middle school as the years go by and we were allowed to like do like two running events and one field event and then two field events and one running event. There's like it's like you can't do both like a one it's one or the other type of say. And so and that's where Coach McChrystal that's her name at my middle school. She helped me get through all the I get used to the track and get used to my teammates a little bit and of course make new friends even despite being shy. And then as the years go by I started making new friends and becoming more social in a way.
Wow. So then, even though we talk about there's the doubters and the people that, don't believe that you could do certain things because they look at it as a limitation, you clearly had a coach that was the one person that really believed in you, that gave you the time, that mentored you. And so we usually, not always, but a lot of times we hear about that one person that believed in them. And it's amazing how that one person can kind of wipe out all of the other people that might have had negative things to say. So I love hearing that you had that figure in your life. And you probably had others too, but obviously specifically her when it came to the sport. So the
And
power, people, of just believing in
and
others is
And of course,
huge.
I like besides Coach McChrystal, like that I have a few others that like inspire me. Like not only Coach Rucker, who's the head cross country and track coach at Upper Iowa, and of course like a couple assistant coaches, and there actually there's and then during like the summer before my college year, like my freshman year, like I was introduced and well actually it was before that I was introduced to Coach Rucker like when I was visiting Upper Iowa University the summer before my senior year of high school. And of course, that's where I trained for the cross country. Oh, I trained for the senior track season and I used to play tennis, by the way, my freshman year to my junior year of high
I played
school.
tennis in high school, so
But now,
I love that.
I was like, but then, and like, as the end of my junior year, I found out that tennis wasn't for me. And I was like, okay, so I wanted to focus more on just running. And even though my mom said I would be good at tennis in college, and I was like, Mom, I was like, I want to do track and cross country in college. And that's why I want to focus. That's where
Well,
I
good
am.
for you speaking your mind because a lot of times you'll just go ahead and do what your parents want you to do. So, um, you should be proud of yourself for being able to
I
speak up.
appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Coach Rucker, who I met the summer before my senior year of high school. And of course I got accepted before I visited for the most part. It was the only college that stood out to me and I applied to because most colleges they acquire like high ACTs and or SATs or
Yeah.
whichever one that you took. And then like it was my summer like say it was the summer before my college year my coach introduced me to two of my friends like and teammates on the cross country track team, which is her name is Madison Brown Rigg and of course well Madison Schooley I should say. And then a and then Kristana Berner versus Shafransky. And then those were the people that welcomed me on the cross country and track team. And even though I never previously participated in the sport, my middle school and high school years, and then they actually helped me to form a bond within the entire program collegiately. And
Mm.
so and then Coach Rucker he's always been communicative with my family and I like to keep things running smoothly. And then as the years go by and after my redshirt season I got stronger and like I said, stronger. Like I guess so. And going back to my 10K record thing, I actually broke it twice, like
Wow.
a more year, and then and actually the second time I did it was on my birthday, and then like I not only did a 10K, I also did the 5K as well, which is almost 9 miles in one
Mhm.
meet, and it was so funny because I had so many opponents like who I got respect of, and actually throughout the seasons I gained respect from all the runners and coaches from other universities as well as my friends and teammates collegiately. And so and then one of the opponents one time says, as I was like, hey, 10K runner, did you run the 5K as well? And I was like, yes, I did. And she's like, I don't know how you do that. And I was like, I'm just really enjoying it, so that's why. And then and of course my senior year, like that's where like the bonds like that's when my relationship with my coach grew. And so he helped out with, and of course, and like I said, he kept motivate me to keep going, especially during COVID season. He ran with us one time, and he gave me a lot of great advice, and including my teammates as well. And I was like, for those who go to their senior year of college, like for collegiately, like enjoy the moment, because once you're out of like college and all that, so you won't never play a sport again, for
Yeah.
as long as like your life goes on. So that's why and I have a short film, by the way. Like, and even though and like I said, it's called, for my short film, it's called More Than a Student Athlete, a letter of gratitude for running. And what's about is I'm showing like my gratitude for the sports that changed my life as a whole and prepared me for life at the sports, and of course taught me the life lessons on the athletic fields and in the classroom. And then I thought, and I had and the reason why, what inspired me to create it is because I had family members and friends who have sustained career-ending injuries due to playing sports. And I had some, I know some college seniors like before me, during my junior year, because of COVID, they weren't able to do their final season for seniors because of COVID. And so that's why I created the short film, because I want the audience to know to not only have gratitude for their families, friends, mentors, coaches, and educators, and of course their communities, but also have gratitude for the sports that changed their life as a whole, prepare them for life after sports, and of course and then of course taught them the life lessons on the athletic fields. And
Mhm.
then that got selected in 2024 at the Digifest Temecula, which is my first film festival.
Temecula, that's not too far from here. Oh, wow. Congratulations.
Why, thank you.
Wow. Um, yeah, I mean, so I'm just like hearing this, all for the very first time. I mean, I do follow you on Instagram, so I have noticed that you are someone that likes to share life lessons and you like to motivate. You have your motivational Wednesdays, I think. Is it
I,
Wednesdays
it's
or
actually
Mondays?
for my Mondays,
Mondays.
I do weekly gratitude gaze, and of course,
Okay.
also on Monday motivation, and then I do this called Wednesday Words of Wisdom,
Oh,
and
wisdom, that's right.
and
That's
one of the content I did was since I saw Mufasa, the Lion King,
hmm
during before the Christmas season, and so in honor of that, I decided to share a quote from the late Robert Guillaume, who voiced Rafiki in the 1994 anime film The Lion King. And you're a fan of Disney, right?
Yes, I am. I was just actually just talking about Disney earlier with some
And
older
I
women about how it doesn't matter what age you are, you can always appreciate a good Disney film.
and I thought like Rafiki's quote in that movie, and I was like, you know what, I better do a Wednesday version of that, and that's why I thought, and I thought that worked out really well for the most part, and of
Yeah.
course, and I also had Thursday reminders, which is mental health, and
Okay.
of course I had the Happy Friday vibes, and for my spiritual scriptures, I do like spiritual Sunday, so where I share the scripture, and of course and I tell what lessons it taught us, and then what God wants us to do for the most part.
Wow. So I want to know because I have found, because I have spoken with my Rock the Boat YouTube channel. I've had several kids on there on the spectrum, and what I have found is that a lot of you really have this sense of like positivity. Like I have found that where you don't allow anything that you're like experiencing other people might look at and be like, oh, once again, like a limitation, or gosh, that would suck, or I don't know how I would feel if that was me. But I just have found that the perspective that you guys take is tends to be a really positive one. I mean, is that true? Like all of this that someone outside looking in could be like, wow, that's a lot of obstacles, a lot of, things that I would be down and out about. But it seems like you are able to manage it in a really positive and healthy way. Is that correct?
That's correct. And of course,
Okay.
me being an athlete, even on the autism spectrum, and I still broke like 6 miles in a mile like a couple times, and of course I Madison I was talking about like my very good friend, my close friend from who's like a sister to me, and of course like my second her family's like her second family, and so, a second family to me I should say.
Yeah.
And so like, and then there was one time like during our junior year of college, like that's where like before COVID hit, like we both broke the mile record respectively. And of course then my lifetime PR was a 5 minutes and 44 seconds.
That is
Uh,
fast.
and then
I know 6 minutes is fast, but then anything under 6 minutes, that's really fast, at least for me.
I
I'm like a
agree.
9 minute miler person.
And of course I was a mid distance slash distance person, even though and of course during my senior year I actually like I said I broke the record I broke the record for the third time during COVID. That was pretty good. I mean, and one time though actually my sophomore year of college, like when I broke the record twice like for 10K, and then it was like a few days after it was like I don't know if like kind of like that on Good Friday we had like a track meet at like
Mhm.
Concordia St. Paul, and that was our rival at the time. And of course, but today we are like in the but because Upper Iowa is in a different like intercollegiate conference, which is the GLVC. And so, but then we were in my experiences, we were in the NSIC, which is the Northern Sun Intercollegiate like conference.
Mhm.
And so like that they were in our conference at the time, and that's and then it's like a few days after that. Actually, it was actually a Sunday after that, like the few days before I got, well, after that one track meet I was in. So I was in a shorter race at the time. And then of course, like on Sunday, I woke up one morning and I was looking through Facebook, and then I found out that a very good friend of mine, like from like a classmate of mine, like who I was growing up with, in like through elementary and high school, and his father like tagged me in the photo, and I was like, what the? And I looked at it like, and I didn't know that was recognized in the Northwest Herald newspaper. And I was
Oh,
like, for breaking the record twice, and I was like, oh wow, I did not know that. So
you're like, that's a lovely surprise.
yeah, and that's all I was like, I appreciate sharing it. And so I was very happy with that achievement. So and then but a special moment came in during cross country, and we were at like University of Nebraska Lincoln, and
Hmm.
that's where we had it was a hot and humid track meet, I mean, not track meet, cross country meet. It was like literally hot and humid, no breeze, but
Ugh.
luckily it was sunny too. Like, but luckily it was a nice day though. So especially during the morning, and I led the team for cross country a second time during my sophomore year. And then like as my teammates and I were coming back to our team camp, a stranger came up to me and says, and it came up to me and my coach and says I had that he happened to have a photo of me sprinting to the finish line, and then he said he was like very impressed by my integrity and sportsmanship, and as I shake hands with other runners, saying good race and showing really great sportsmanship, and my mom shared it on like social media, and I was like, and of course it brought tears to my eyes, and that was a special moment that I ever like endured and experienced.
Well, you should be proud of yourself for that because
Thank you.
nobody was telling you to do that. That was something that was coming from your heart. So it just shows a lot about who you are as a person.
Yes, of course.
Yes. Can, can I ask you when you are running, like what are you
Right.
thinking about? Like, do you have music that you're listening to, or do you have like particular thoughts that you like to kind of like have in your head that motivate you, or like do you just, I don't know, like do you just kind of go off into la la land?
I mean of course I'm not in La La Land for the most part, but luckily
I go into la la land. That's why I ask.
that's why. But anyways, like the music I like to like listen to when I work out is like 80s, of course. Like is that
Oh,
because
I'm an
I'm really
80s
a huge
fan
fan of the 80s.
too.
And it's so funny because I was playing 80s during like my workout, and of course I was starting to play 80s music and during our team lifts. And then one of the throwers was so funny because I she came up to me, she's like, "What is this music?" I was like, "80s," and she's like, "Turn that off." And exactly, it was a funny moment. Like no one wanted my 80s,
No
and I
one
was like,
appreciated your 80s. That makes me really sad. That bums me out.
I mean, but actually, of course, I was like, I love 80s. I play
Well,
80s
what
during.
kind of 80s? Because there's different, obviously, there's different genres within the 80s. So, like, what are your jams?
I mean, of course, I mean, I mean, but anyway, like, of course, everyone has to love 80s, like, for the most part. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, I know, like, no offense, but my team didn't want me to play 80s. So I was like, okay, well, and I totally understand that they wanted like hip hop, and of course, I like hip hop and rap as well, and then
Okay.
dubstep and of course like metal as well, and of course and of course like 80s rock as well. So
Okay. So you'll listen to 80s. Do you have any like mantras that you tell yourself in your head, like when you're getting to like the end and you have to like really push yourself? Do you have anything that you tell yourself specifically?
I don't recall. I'm like I don't recall like what I mantra and all that.
No,
And
you just
if I do have but of course I recall some of my teammates like cheer me on like when I broke the 10K record. And
okay.
of course like my during my first race. Oh, and my cross country race in South Dakota. And it was so funny because I was a little nervous at first, but then of course my teammates helped me out like get used to my first cross country meet, and of course throughout the cross country season. And it was so funny. It was actually a twilight like race in like Augustana, against Augustana University, which is like of course in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And it was so funny because like when we were about to start the race, and I shot out of the line, and then my teammate was 2 seconds behind me, and I was like, Serena, you just shot out, and I'm like, okay. I was like, and that's why the nervousness like helped me like to like shoot out of the line. So I
Oh,
was
so
like,
you do get nervous
I'm a little bit, but
a
then
little bit. Okay.
of course, I had mixed feelings for the most part. So
Yeah, I feel like the nerves are important. They say like even for people like actors or singers or anybody that go on stage, they always say that it's important to have a little bit of the nervousness there and the anxiousness in order to kind of get you going. So
I
it's like
agree.
that for you.
And of course, like, and by the way, I did some acting classes like at Upper University, and there was only a few. But then my senior project I did like even during COVID, like I actually did like a senior one woman performance for acting because my uncle like was an actor in Chicago, and so he was on like the Casey's General Store commercial. He was in like the Geico commercial, the Illinois Lottery commercial, and everything like that. And then that's what inspired me to become an actress. And I was like, and motivational speaker because after everything I've been through. And I was like, you know what? I want to become a motivational speaker and actor. And of course, educate others like not only about their disability, but also their thinking of it as an inability to like learn and of course go into the social media marketing field like my field is in, being a lead content engagement and marketing intern. And I've been looking for I've been actually been looking for like social media marketing like jobs and of course content creation jobs because with me being like being a content creator on like Instagram and sharing my positive messages. And I was like, you know what? I want to go into that one. So that's why of course I've been before I did Digital for Good, I've been rejected on so many jobs in social media marketing. And then I was really struggling to find a job until I came across like Digital for Good and I Can Help, and all thanks to Ann Puffett, who is my career development coach at Upper Iowa University. And then she introduced me to Kim Carr, and like who is a founder and owner of Digital for
Yeah,
Good and I Can Help.
I've had the opportunity to have a conversation with her.
And I when I called her and she called me and I told her about my autism story, and then I told her how I got my master's despite being autistic, and she was so like really inspired by my story that she connected me to so many people and then of course like in January when I interviewed for the lead for the marketing intern, like the normal marketing intern.
Hmm.
Again, the lady asked me I mean I was gonna go for the just the marketing intern, but then the lady who was the last marketing intern asked me if I would be interested in the lead marketing intern to just so I can be more involved in the organization. I was like, okay, might as well. And so it's like a huge step for me to go up there. And then And then fast forwarding today, I'm the lead content engagement and marketing intern, and of course I help the events team like prepare like four marketing plans for the upcoming Digital for Good Summit in this February 2025.
Are you going to New York for the summit?
I have actually have no idea, to be honest.
Oh,
So
okay. Yeah, I was thinking about it
I
as
would
well, just
I
being that
would
I
love
was involved.
I would
Yeah.
love I would love to go like I'll have to speak with the lady called like Ogechi. I don't know if it's Oga or something like that.
I don't
So
know. I don't know. I know of quite a few people over there, but I don't know that name. I don't know who's organizing it, but you never know. It's worth a ask.
yes, of course.
Yeah. So, um, acting. Can I ask you like when it comes to acting, like is there a certain genre within the acting that you would like to pursue? Or do you just feel like you need like the level of acting in order to be a motivational speaker and to get on stage and to engage with people? Because some people do believe that acting goes hand in hand with
And
that.
so well, actually, like for my senior performance, I did and of course, I got an A on it for the most part. And I passed the senior project, and of course, like my excerpts include from like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Rakin' Bass, so my dad's favorite, and of course, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, my most favorite Christmas movie of all time, and of course, Elf, and I have three excerpts from that one, and then
Okay.
I and then after those like excerpts, I go on and read the story to the kids. I looked like I was like reading to the kids, and I thought and I wrote and I read Bear Stays Up of Christmas. That was one of my favorite books when I was a kid, and I was like, okay. And I was like, okay, I might as well do a little story time performance. And I didn't want to do like a boring paper for like senior
Mhm.
project. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna entertain instead of doing like a boring paper like I mentioned before. And that's why I decided to do like a senior project for acting, and because that's where I want, and of course, like not only be like a social media marketer, but also like a actress and motivational speaker. And I also have a video that my uncle I put together, like with all my photos I did. And I thought that I want, of course, I wanted to share with you more often. And I was like, okay, it might be a good idea. And that's why, and then I was very grateful that my uncle and cousin like helped me out with the video, especially after getting all this like photos. Photos of me of all my personal life and of course through athletics.
Mhm.
And so that's why I wanted to share my video so that I can like promote myself to not only be an actress but also a motivational speaker as well.
Well, that's the way to do it with what you're doing right now with all the content that you're creating on your social media. That's the way to get out there. You never know who's going to come across it and reach out. So, I mean, that's the only way you can really put yourself out there these days. It's just by creating content on different platforms. So, I mean, good for you for doing that because a lot of people that's getting out of their comfort zone, and it seems like you're okay with getting out of that comfort zone.
Yes, and especially I mean, and of course I mean at first I didn't want to share my story first like because I didn't know how people would think of me as a person. But
Yeah.
then I was like, but today after I've been through it like positively, not only through my athletics but also my academics and my studies, and of course my volunteerism. Oh, talking about volunteerism in college, and of course I never volunteered much in like middle school, high school. But then in college, in my sophomore year, I was like, you know what? I want to volunteer more since I was eligible to compete in track and field and of course cross country. And so I volunteer at the like nursing home, the and in like Fayette. That's where my school is, and of course, and of course I volunteer at the library, the community church, and all across UIU campus. And I was also a scare actor in like the haunted hayride and of course the haunted hallways like my sophomore year and junior year. And of course amazingly I recorded 500 volunteer hours as a student athlete. And then that led me to being a two-time PD's Peacock Service Award winner for my contribution within the community as well. And not only as an athlete, but also as a individual who has a love for volunteering.
Wow. You're very well rounded, and I love that you're so motivated to do so many things. That's fantastic. So, yeah, just closing out the podcast. Obviously, if anyone wants to follow you, they can follow you on Instagram, connect with you on LinkedIn. Are you on other platforms? Are you on like TikTok, Facebook?
Definitely, yes.
Okay.
I'm almost on every platform. So like
Okay.
see, they can follow me on LinkedIn. They can follow me on YouTube. They can follow me on like well, of course, link. They can follow me. I'm on LinkedIn, YouTube, uh, TikTok, Twitter/X, Facebook, of course, and of course my Instagram
Yeah. Fantastic.
and Threads.
And Threads. Okay, yeah, you got them all covered. I think some people will be able to find you. That's awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming on and sharing a bit of your story. And I know that you are going to inspire and motivate so many as you are doing that for me as I listen to you right now, for sure. So I appreciate you coming on and taking some time to talk to me.
Well, thank you so much, Raquel. I appreciate the invite and of course I allow me to share my story. And then of course my career goals is and my career goals is like I'm looking for like social media marketing jobs and of course content creation, especially me being especially me sharing my positive messages and then I hope to continue that like throughout 2025.
Well, you definitely have the experience. So anybody would be lucky to have you on their team for sure. So thanks again. If you enjoyed this episode and you're between the ages of 18 and 24 and would like to be a featured guest, go to rock.vision. Until next week.